So it was a fairly conservative, established merchant bank.
A boringly conservative established merchant bank. That's it. That's exactly right. I used to come in every morning.
Right.
This is the courtyard.
In Icelandic tradition, they wooed him over a fishing trip.
There were about 16 of us there. Of the 16, there were about 9 billionaires. And we had a very enjoyable 2 days fishing.
But did you form the impression they were people you'd like to do business with?
I formed the impression they were people I was quite happy to go fishing with, but I wouldn't want to do business.
After a cursory reading of their accounts, Shearer made an astonishing discovery that highly paid British officials and international ratings agencies appeared to have missed. It wasn't a proper bank at all.
Less than 10% of their profits came from either lending money or managing other people's investments.
So only 10% of their profits were coming from actual banking. The rest was just funny money.
Yes. Yeah. And that was all apparent from the accounts. I also went to the regulator, the Financial Services Authority, and told them that I thought there were reasons, very good reasons, why they should not approve them as fit and proper people to own a UK bank, and so did some of my colleagues as well.
And what happened?
They approved it.
What's more, British and Dutch authorities allowed another bank, Landsbanki, to set up an internet deposit scheme. Called iSave, it offered suspiciously high interest rates and attracted billions of pounds. But it's here that the Viking longship finally ran aground. When the Prime Minister, Gordon Brown, heard of the bank's troubles, he decided to freeze their British assets. But how can a government lawfully seize billions of pounds from a peaceful allies' banks? Simple. In the post-9/11 world, you treat them as terrorists. In the most extraordinary chapter of this sordid saga, Britain invoked its national security legislation against Iceland.
The bank, and for a short while the Central Bank of Iceland and the Icelandic Finance Ministry, was put on a list of terrorist organizations alongside the Taliban, the Al-Qaeda, North Korea, etc.
And a year later, Icelanders are as angry as ever. Great Britain was able to bail out its own citizens for their losses in IceSave, but now it's demanding tiny Iceland pay it all back. The $6 billion debt works out to $20,000 for every man, woman and child.
Vil helst ekki tala verstu hlutina því við stöndum svona nálægt hérna Alþingishúsinu. Þannig að allt þessi peningur sem við, almenningur, ætlar að fara að borga, það bara gert til þess að þurfi ekki að ganga auðmönnunum. Og það gengur ekki.
And the pain is only just beginning. In the next few weeks, the government will bring in a budget that's expected to slash spending by 30%. They could spend the next decade paying for a system that let banks run wild.
Do you think the lessons are being learned? Is the system being changed?
No. No.
Really?
Yes.
Despite all the billions of dollars that have been lost?
Well, I think in the UK there's something like £1 trillion which has gone in to back the banks. No, I don't think the lessons have been learned.
Many Icelanders say they have learned a lesson.
I'm hoping that people will sort of get back into the values of what's real in life. I mean, material things are nice, but they're not real.
There's a lot of good sides of this. We have started to talk. We have faced the problem. We are trying to fight it. We are trying to change things.
If anything good comes out of this crash, it might be that people will appreciate that you do not need the second car, not to mention the third car, or a new flat-screen TV.
Because there's a lot to enjoy in Iceland that doesn't cost money, isn't there?
Yeah, go to the beach, go sea swimming in Iceland instead of Mallorca. It's way more fun. There's hiking trails and magnificent mountains to climb, waterfalls to observe. You don't need all the nonsense. Just, go back to basics.
Eric Campbell and the saga of Iceland's Great Big Gamble. And authorities in both Iceland and the UK are investigating allegations of serious fraud and other criminal activity in the period leading up to the collapse of the banks. So far, no charges have been laid, but Iceland's special prosecutor says 35 cases are currently under investigation, and that number is expected to double.